Alright, today, right now I'm about to start a little side project. This is going to be a first-person shooter sort of survival game. Probably going to get a lot of haters with people saying this is cliche, but whatever. Um, so I originally was thinking kind of zombie on those lines, but I might end up changing that. For the time being, I do know I want it to be a first person shooter and I want it to be a survival game. Um, and I am not sure on the level generation or the world generation being procedural or, excuse me, or if I would like to make just a static world um, and maybe populate it with sort of procedural or random or pseudo random kind of generation of objects. So we'll see how that goes. But for the time being, um, I am I've got my Unity opened up. I've already created a sort of a hierarchy. I always like to do this as soon as I start a new project. So I've got my folders, prefabs, scenes, scripts. Of course, most of these are empty now, but I've also imported a lot of the standard assets like cameras, characters, the environment, and prototyping, which I'm going to be using heavily today. Actually, prototyping and characters is pretty much all I'm going to be using today. Um, so anyway, for this part, I basically just want to get a running start with the first-person shooter controller and build a basic kind of prototyping level to roam around in. So as you can see at the top here, actually you may not be able to see that, but I've already created a scene for this called prototyping, which is what I'm in at the moment. So I can go ahead and save my scene and all that, but I haven't put anything in the actual game hierarchy right now. So without further ado, I will get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is probably create a little level. Um, let's see, standard assets, prototyping, prefabs, and there's a floor. I want the large one. This is 64 by 64. That's pretty good. Yeah, that'll probably work for now. It's not as big as it looks, but it'll work. So their prefab already has a box collider on it, so I don't have to worry about that, which is nice. Okay, so, whoops, I do want to go back, because they also have some cubes, they have ramps, steps, walls, and so on. So what I'm going to do is just create a bunch of these. Alright, I'm going to duplicate that, and actually I want to move it in the Z direction by try 5. Whoops, not 5F. Yeah. So this is a little weird. I did not know, because I've never actually used the walls before. But it appears to me that the normals are not correct on these 3D models. So basically what I mean by that is, you see how it's an invisible wall here? So basically that means that the normal, if I'm looking at it from this side and I'm seeing through it, then the normal is actually on the other side. So when you're doing 3D modeling, you always have to be sure your normals are facing the way that you want them to be. So in this case, all of the normals on this wall should be facing outward, directly, away from whatever face I'm looking at. So on this wall, it should be pointing just like that blue z-axis is. So maybe I shouldn't put those walls in, so I'll just delete those. I think their cubes are still pretty good though. Let's So I'll put some of those in. I want a large cube. There we go. Yeah, that's a very large cube. So I'll put one there. Maybe put some smaller ones around it. Let's see, here's some platforms. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll just put it kind of next to it. That way it's, kind of like a stepping stone thing. Oh, look at that. They have a house prototype. I actually didn't know that was in there. That's pretty sweet. I am going to want to scale that down a bit, though, I think. Or alternatively, I could just make my floor bigger. I think I'll go with that. I'll go with 10. Maybe not quite so large. So 5. That gives me plenty of space to roam around in. Let's see. There's some pillars. Maybe put some of those on top of this. Okay, that looks pretty cool. Just some random things. Not sure how big these steps are. Not very big. I don't even really care if it's clipping through it. That looks pretty good. It's not perfect, but what can you say? Good enough. So that has a mesh collider on it already. That's cool. What about the house, actually? Yep, mesh collider. That's very nice. Of course, it's a very simple house. They don't even have to make it convex. So let's go ahead and save that. I'll call this house. Steps. I might be having more than one, so I'm going to call that steps 1 and call that house 1. And this was my pillar kind of thing. It's not what they call it, but it looks like a pillar to me. Just kind of keep this cleaned up. And of course the ground. Cool. So I'll just put some more stuff in here. Oops. Maybe another house over here. Let's rotate it on the Y by 90 degrees. Let's get another large cube in here. That's not the large one. Which one was it? Was it that one? No, I'll get it right here in a second. Yeah, it's that one. Let's put like a random ramp in here. Yeah. Looks good. Alright, so there's not much here, but it's good enough for this. And I'm just going to speed through this stuff. Actually, you know what? I might as well not even keep up with the naming on this because I've got quite a bunch of stuff that's still very generic names: platform, cube, pillar, so on. But it's too late now. I've already started. For those of you who use Unity and you're not aware, the shortcut for renaming is F2. So that's how I'm doing this a little bit quicker. So, let's see, we're on cube 7, cube 8, and cube 9, cube 10. Very cool. Got that going. Now I need my player. So I'm going to go to standard assets, character, first person, and they give you some instructions on how to use the first person camera. And as you can see, it tells me if present, delete the main camera. That's because they have a camera as part of the player. So I'm going to do that now. Delete, and if you go in prefabs, there's the FPS controller, and there's a rigid body FPS controller. Yeah, I think I just want the normal FPS controller, but before I do that, I'm going to just go with all this stuff. I'm going to create an empty, rename it to environment or something, and I'm just going to put all this stuff under that because it's all the environment. Now I'm going to put my FPS controller in there, and I can set the transform to 0, 0, 0, zoom in, and we want him to be above the ground, of course, so we'll set the Y to 1, save that bad boy, and yeah, I just now realized that you can't see my inspector actually in the stream, so let's see if I can fix that. The quality is also not as great. Currently it's at 720p is the max you can have, but I'm going to be changing that quickly to 1080p for the future streams. Basically I had it reduced so that I would have better streaming rate, but I believe I can actually go with the 1080p stream as long as I'm doing, you know, pretty simple dev things like this, not really complex number crunching and that kind of thing. So just bear with this one. This should be the last video in 720p. Let's see. Yeah, I also noticed that's a little large. There we go. Okay. Sorry, I'm doing some on-the-fly configuration here. Alright, and of course, sorry about that buffering and the little delay. It's having to wait for it to update. So, you might be experiencing some lag or some buffer on your side, but yeah, just bear with me. Okay, so what I can do is I can reduce my screen to as such. Okay. I'm going to rename the FPS controller player because that's what he is. And there's a first person character. So now I actually should be able to save this and play it. You'll notice they also have audio with the first person controller now, so there is sound for these steps and so on. And there's already colliders on all of this stuff, so that's good. You can run with shift, you can jump with space, and kind of thought I remembered you being able to crouch, but I guess not. That's okay. I don't really need to crouch anyway, so we can do some hardcore parkour. Yep. 360. And let's go check this out. These are really large houses, actually. So there's the ramp. Doop. Alright, so that's pretty cool. And as you notice, the FPS controller is, of course, simply it doesn't even have a mesh, so it's just the collider, which is, I mean, that's all you need. So they use a pill kind of shape. This is the cylinder collider, or I believe, yeah, it's something like that. But basically, this is what I'm going to be using for the majority of this game, I think, because really we don't need to have a model anytime soon, unless I wanted to have like mirrors or any sort of reflection in the game where you would be able to see yourself, and in that case then I would need to worry about, one, the shaders involved in the reflections, and two, the model. So if I decide to have that as a feature in the game, then I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. So the next thing that I want to implement, well, let's see. I should probably, oh yeah, I need a gun. So if we're going to be shooting, we need a gun. And before I started this video, I actually found a model of a M1911, which is actually a pretty good model. So zoom back in on my player, and I was actually going to do all the modeling myself, which I might be doing some later, but I'm not as good at 3D modeling, and of course I'm limited to only Blender, as I don't have the budget for a more expensive software. But for now, all I've got is this M1911, and I'm just going to put it in like that, and I'll raise it up here so you can see it. So this is the entire model. It comes with the pistol, and it has something called hull or huel. I'm not really sure. And this is actually the bullet. I think the creator meant to name that bullet, but bullet is actually like, I'm not sure at all. I think this is like the bullet trail or something. I am not even sure, but I'm deleting that. So let's see. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna delete that. It's giving me a little message there about it, but I think that's fine. So I want to name this the clip. This, I'm not familiar with terminology for guns, so I'm just going to call it the slide. And then of course the gun trigger, I'll just name trigger. And I want to make that caps. So that's our gun there. The bullet, actually, I'm going to take this and put it down here, so it's going to make the bullet separate. Of course, it's actually a prefab now, but I want to delete that. Now I have just the gun here, just the pistol, which is what I want, and I can take that and put it, actually I need to be putting these in my prefabs folder that I made, which is not that one. Actually, it is, yeah. So prefabs. And then I also want to put the M1911 down there. So now I've got the pistol, I've got the bullet. Cool. Let's put the pistol on the player and reset the transform to 0. Now we're down here. Now is when I want to rearrange my view, so I'm going to create a little adjustment here. And since I'm at such a low resolution, it's kind of hard to do this, but I'm basically going to be getting rid of like all of this stuff, just so that you guys can see it more clearly. Actually, I'm not sure why I have an asset store tab. Yeah, I'll get rid of that. Okay, so now I've got these two windows. This is my game view, so I can actually see what it's going to look like when I move my gun. So if I move it, let's see, where's the front of our player? If I look that way. Alright, so the camera is facing towards this building here, so I want to move the gun. Actually, I want to rotate it on the y-axis first by 90 degrees, and now you can see the barrel of it. I'm going to just slowly move it, just kind of adjust it. This is also going to vary according to the resolution of the game, so I'm going to have to play with this. Of course, I have maximize on play checked, so when I play it, it's going to appear differently from what I see in this window. So let me go ahead and play it now. Okay, so this pistol looks really big, which I actually kind of thought when I was looking at it over here. So I'm just going to reduce that to 0.75 on all 3 axes. Let's save that. Hit play. It's still going to look a little large, but this is fine. So as we can see, if I look down right now, I can see that I'm not holding it, which is kind of weird. So I'm going to just drag it back, maybe down a little more. I may end up adding some arms at the very least later, so that we do have that. Alright, so yeah, still seeing that. Alright, I think what I'm going to do is raise it back up, bring it in. No. I need some arms. I may actually end up doing that very soon. Not in this video, because I'd rather get a decent model of the arm. So I'll probably just find one online. Of course, this gun, by the way, I got this online, but it's also under the commercial license, so it's completely fine to use commercially, even though I don't plan to. At the very most, this is going to be a free game, and at the very least, it's just going to be an educational project. So there's no worries with copyright or crediting of that kind of thing that I have to worry about. Okay, so I've gotten this far. I haven't written a single script. Let's see, what next? I think this is really, honestly, this is probably a pretty good start. There's not, a lot that I can do as far as prototyping here, and that was my main goal for today. Yeah, so you can stick around. I might play a little bit more with this prototyping environment and add some stuff to it, but for now, I'm going to move that back there. and move my inspector back up here. And my hierarchy, I'm actually going to keep that down there. Let me move it like that. No. There we go. Okay, so I have a wider view. Yeah. So in standard assets, let's see what else we have. There's environment, so I probably want a better sky than this. So let me go find the player, first person character. There's the camera. I think I need to import another package. There's one that there's skyboxes in, I know. Let's see. Maybe it's... That's not gonna be under cameras. Nope. Not terrain assets. Maybe it is. Okay. Let's see. I'm not sure what package it's under. Let's check effects. It might take a bit. Okay, it's gonna list them all. There's some nice glass shaders. I don't think that may not be exactly what I was thinking of, but I was actually thinking of finding and implementing a glass shader for breaking glass, not necessarily for the reflection, but that would be pretty cool, I think. Yeah, there's light cookies, there's textures. Tune shading, nope, there's no skyboxes in that package, so I'm just gonna run a quick search here and find out what package it's in. So apparently there's no longer a skybox package that comes with Unity. Alright, so I need to go to the store, the asset store. So go to asset store. Hopefully there's some free ones out there. Wispy skybox. Skybox, this might be the one. Yeah, I'll just go with that for now. I'm not even gonna pay much attention to the details. Okay, cool. Import all of those. Might also look into making my own skyboxes later. But for this game, actually, I'm not going to be using a skybox just by itself. Later, I'm going to work on a day and night cycle. So there's going to be basically like a real time sun. It's going to go over, to nighttime, and then I'm wanting the nighttime to be like pitch black. So hopefully I can do that. Alright, so I've got the skybox. Now I want to go to first person character. And oops. Yeah, that's what I want. I should be able to, hold on. Okay, so I need to add the component, of course. Yeah, it's been a while since I've added a skybox. So, rendering, and then skybox. The skybox I want is the sky.start day. Alright, maybe that's going to look correct. Hopefully. Just let the game start. Oh yeah, yep, that's a beautiful skybox there. Alright, so that didn't work. Oh, okay, I didn't even notice this. So maybe this is it. Need to hit fix now on all of these. Yeah, you can see our skybox slowly appearing down here. Ta-da! So that should have fixed it. I'm gonna go ahead and save it. Hit play. There we go. That's a lot better. So now we have a wonderful skybox. And of course our floor is, it's not meeting the horizon, so that's why we're seeing this black line. But, I think it looks pretty good now. I might turn that volume down a bit on the player.